Good morning, everybody. Thanks very much for joining us this morning. We are expecting quite a few more people to hop on the call, so I'll just give it another minute before we get started. Lots of last-minute joiners, which is good. Just give it another minute or so, and then we'll get started. Morning, everybody. Okay, so good morning, everybody. Thank you very much for joining us this morning. Over the next 10 minutes, I'm just going to give you a quick rundown of what you can expect over the course of the next couple of hours. So to kick off, I'm going to do a short introduction and just remind you of all the different services that you can take advantage of from our employee relations team. Then we will hear from Matt Mott, who is our Head of Business Development and Governance. Matt's going to talk to you about the Pensions Dashboard Programme. You will see hopefully from Matt's presentation that the main thing for you as employers around this piece is to make sure that your data is in a good position. So following on from that, we're going to hear from Richard Quinn, who's going to talk to you in quite a bit of detail about prioritising your levers and clearing any backlogs that you may have. We have made some adjustments to our reporting, which should hopefully make it easier to prioritise and clear the levers that you may have. Then we will hear from Stuart, our Head of Comms. Stuart's going to talk to you about all the things that are going on over our digital piece. So some exciting updates there that Stu will talk about. And then to round off, we will hear from Joe Kerry, who is from My Money Matters. So you may be familiar with My Money Matters as AVC Wise. They've rebranded to My Money Matters. So they're going to talk to you, of course, about the salary sacrifice AVC, but they will go into a bit more detail about the other benefits My Money Matters has to offer for your employees. So it'll be a really useful presentation, that one. So just before I hand over to Matt, I'm just going to run through a couple of bits just to remind you of all the services that we offer to you by the employee relations team, just to make sure that you're getting the use out of the team and really getting the value from the team. Okay, so you'll all be familiar with the employee relations team, hopefully. We are there to support you with your roles and responsibilities as an LGPS employer. We provide training and guidance, and the purpose of the team really is to work with you to allow you to deliver your responsibilities, which then ultimately means that we can give your employees, our members, an excellent service when it comes to their pension. So amongst the team, we can support you with employer engagement services and member engagement services as well. So I just wanted to take the opportunity to run through all of the different things that we can do for and with you to make sure we are delivering that excellent service to your employees and our members. So first and foremost, you all have your own dedicated employer pension fund rep. So these are very specialist officers who are there to support, train, work with you to resolve any queries. So you can call upon your employer pension fund rep to have one-to-one support calls, one-to-one training, Teams calls whenever you feel necessary with your employer pension fund rep. They can work with you to clear your backlogs of levers that you've got, resolve any difficult queries that you may have. So really do make sure you are using that resource, because that is there for you to utilise. The PFRs, the pension fund reps, will also facilitate and deliver a series of live webinars throughout the year. So there's loads of training resources that you can take advantage of, and that runs all the way through the year. So in addition to that, there is, of course, lots of other online training resources. There's the dedicated employer zone of the WYPF website. And then, of course, there is the employer mailbox that you can direct all of your employer queries to, your employer helpline, which you can contact and reach one of the pension fund reps at any time during the working day, and also the dedicated Pension Matters blog, which is solely there for us to update you of any regulation changes, best practice tips, system downtime, all of those types of things. So do make sure that you are familiar with all those services and also using them as well. Here I've just included a snapshot of our training and how we slice it up through the year. So what we tend to do is we, over each quarter, will work with a theme of training, which is designed to prepare you for what's coming up. So at the moment we're working through the January to March training, which is all around preparing you for year end. Then from April to June we'll look at doing lots of training on the pay side of things, which will help you resolve those year end queries when they come through. If you have any suggestions for any additional training sessions that you'd like to see, please just let your PFR know, and we can build that into the program that we are offering. Okay, so just to touch on the member engagement services that we can support you with, both as WYPF and the employer relations team. So first and foremost, your members have got the contact centre, which is obviously a helpline and a mailbox as well. So that is where you will direct all of your members for queries. We, of course, as well have a host of information on the website for members. So in addition to that, we also run live webinars for your members. So that's under the initiative Engage with Your LGPS Pension. And we will be looking to put some more of those sessions on throughout the summer. As well as that, we can deliver ad hoc presentations to you. So, for example, if you're going through a period of redundancy or you have got a huge influx of new members, we could do induction presentations for you, or presentations that cover the implications of pensions and redundancy. So if you do have a situation where we can support you from an LGPS point of view, please contact your pension fund rep and we can work with you on that. Your pension fund rep will also support you with any member meetings that you may have to have where a member is suffering serious ill health and limited life expectancy. So we can go through the pension forecast in those scenarios and support you there. We also can work with you to run pension surgeries and partnership collaborations. For example, if you are hosting a financial wellbeing day and you want some input from the pensions, we can work with you to do that. We'll also support at stallholder events. Again, if you're having any staff development days or financial wellbeing days and you want us to come and hold a stall at your site, we can also do that for you as well. As well, a reminder on the member engagement side of things, we work with Affinity Connect. So Affinity Connect are a financial planning company that do specialise in public sector. We've worked with these for many years and the feedback that we receive from these courses is excellent. Members seem to get a huge amount of value from these courses. So at the moment, we have got pre-retirement courses available. We have financial wellbeing courses available, and then also the understanding pension tax allowances courses available for members. So all of these dates are planned out for the entire year. They're all online, and your members can book any of those courses and take advantage of that free resource. There is some marketing resources on our website that can help you promote these courses. But alternatively, if you did want to host a course at your site, either online or in person, Affinity Connect will work with you to do that. So I've included Charlie's contact details there if you did want to host something just specifically for your members. But you may wish to just promote the courses that we've got arranged, in which case your members can book on whatever course is suitable for them and just join us online for those courses. So that is everything I wanted to cover from an employer relations team perspective. I just wanted to take the opportunity today just to remind you of all those different things that we can do to support you. So do make sure that you are getting the value from the team and really using the team for what we are here for, which is to help you guys. Okay, so I am now going to hand over to Matt, who's going to talk to you about the pensions dashboard.
Thanks, Amy.
Thank
Morning,
you.
everybody. Amy asked me here today to talk about pensions dashboard. Hopefully it's something you're all aware of. We've been doing some communication pieces with our other clients and with the administering authorities, because they largely hold the responsibility for dashboards. But we thought we'd do a piece, hopefully make you understand the importance of what's coming. Maybe that there isn't much additional work for you to do, but hopefully I make you understand, or help you understand the importance of the dashboards and any repercussions if we fall short, possibly. So I'm just going to share my screen. So if Amy or one of the West Yorkshire guys can shout when you can see the slides.
So we can see them, but they're just not in the play mode.
No, that's fine. It should be going in now.
Perfect.
All good? Right.
Yeah,
so
all
I've
good.
lost all my screen capability, and my slides are to my left. So if you do look up and I'm not looking at the screen, apologies, I'm looking at the slides. Okay, so pension dashboards. This has been a long time coming, really. It was the previous government in 2016 that proposed this idea, and it's been welcomed and taken on board by the current government. In fact, they've upped the ante slightly as we come to a point where we can connect. The aim is for all pension scheme members to be able to see in one place any pension benefits they may have, irrespective of where those pension benefits may be. There isn't a launch date yet because all the schemes that are involved, and there's thousands of schemes involved across the country, must be connected, must be tested, and the dashboard effectively must work. So the private sector, big private sector schemes are connecting from April, from next month, and all public service schemes, including the LGPS, including West Yorkshire Pension Fund, must connect by October 2025. Once the dashboard has been tested, once our data has been tested, once our efficiency in being able to answer questions and queries has been tested, then I suspect there will be a launch date for the public. I suspect it won't be this side of April 2026. Now, that seems like a long time away, but bearing in mind we can only test this dashboard with live data. So all the things that I'm going to be talking about now is about our preparation. When we connect in October this year, we will expect to connect with current live member information, even though the member, the public, can't access it just yet. So the Department for Work and Pension is creating a public sector pension dashboard, and that will be for all UK individuals to view their pension information securely online and in one place, even if they don't live in this country. The DWP are going to use the Money Helper as the government service managed by the Money and Pension Service, which is called MAPS. And all pension schemes in the UK, including the LGPS, must connect to the dashboard ecosystem to provide pension members information in a secure way. Now, that sounds a little bit confusing. There is a dashboard ecosystem of which MAPS will connect to for all public sector schemes, but there will be other dashboards for private sectors. Don't know how many, maybe a few, maybe multiple, and they will all feed into the ecosystem. And that's the one secure place where any UK individual can find any of their pension information. The aim's quite simple, and it's trying to provide information about someone's pension benefits, particularly if they have multiple pensions from multiple pension schemes, and it will also include the state pension. Now, I think that's really good because at the moment, to find out about the state pension, we need to get a login for the government gateway, and we have to go through various Q&As and security questions just for the state pension benefits. The reconnection with lost pensions is a big thing driving this. Many people leave even the LGPS, their benefits are deferred, they forget who their employer was, they don't know who the administrator was, and at retirement age, they don't know how to claim the pension that I due by legislation. Interestingly, this figure's been bandied around quite a bit. £31 billion in the UK of pension money not claimed. Now, the reason why I think this is a driver, and this is a personal view, is because that's £31 billion of state benefits that may not need to be paid in the future if everybody was claiming their pension. So actually, to the country, to the state, to our finances, this actually is quite a big driver. This could make a big difference to everybody's finances and would mean that pension funds don't have to look after money that isn't being paid. So what other benefits are there? Well, you can access this eventually on any apps, phones, whatever tools that we can use. And it's important to get us into the way of thinking about pensions, perhaps on our phones at a click of a button rather than picking up a phone or an email. But what it won't do is it won't show the pensions are already being paid. It will show what we could get tomorrow if we retired, but if we retired today, we won't be included in the dashboard. The reason is, well, if we retired today, we'll know our pension benefits, we'll have had the statement, the money ultimately will be in the bank. The dashboard will be able to search and connect to all pension schemes, whether they are a member or to confirm whether they're a member or not. And as we've said before, it will reconnect various pensions with lost pots, and it will help people understand the value of their pensions in retirement, which is very important when we're planning. This is also quite an interesting figure, 11 different pension pots. That's what we're being told by DWP, that the average employee may build up over their working lifetime. Now, I don't know if that actually means now today, or that's what they perceive over the next few years with auto-enrolment kicking in. But anyway, 11 different pension pots can now be all found at the click of a button once the dashboard goes live. So the way we think and use pensions, the way we find information about pensions will change, revolutionise, we're being told. And it will importantly reunite individuals with their share of that £31 billion. There are some duties that come with this because this has been written into legislation. So the schemes that are in scope must be registered with HMRC and they must have 100 or more relevant members. So this includes all our public sector pension schemes, it includes the LGPS. And a relevant member is an active member, so an employee paying contributions, not yet retired, a deferred member, someone who has opted out of the scheme or has left local government employment, has a pension pot or pension value, but is too young to receive it, so that pension is deferred until retirement age, or they would be a pension credit member, or all of the above. A pension credit member, by the way, is someone that maybe wasn't a scheme member, but was married to a scheme member, and on divorce, they were awarded through divorce courts a proportion of that member's benefit. We would have a record. That benefit hasn't been paid yet. It will be included on a dashboard. Now, the duty to those relevant members will be via the trustees of the pension schemes or their scheme managers. We don't have trustees, even in our pension boards. They are pension board members. They're not trustees. They don't make decisions, but our scheme managers do. So they would be our administering authorities. So Bradford, Lincolnshire, Barnet, Hounslow. These are the people that have the responsibilities, and these administrative authorities should hopefully by now be sharing some of the information and communications we provided at the end of last year, so that you have an idea of how this dashboard is going to work. And how it will work, and I'm not going to go through this word by word, is simply we have the data sitting online. A member will know where to go, whether it's via a DWP login, via something an employer provides, West Yorkshire Pension Fund. They will go to an online site and they will put in their information to find a match. So it goes into the ecosystem, and the ecosystem fires this information out, this request, to the pension schemes, or more importantly, to something called an ISP, or an integrated service provider. And they're like the security on the door, the bouncer. They will have a selected number of members, those relevant members that are on the dashboard, and some of their information, just the information that we want to share with them via the dashboard. Not their whole record, just certain restricted information. If there's a full match, then the ISP provider will give that member access to those figures, which will have contact details, as well as the values, so they will know where to go to find out further information. If there's only a partial match, then the member is invited to provide more information or to contact their provider, who they think their provider is, directly, and then the match can be done by the scheme or the fund. People, when they use the dashboard, will be asked to input this certain personal data. It's the data that you as employers provide us. It will be things like name, address, date of birth, national insurance number, possibly. I say possibly because they want a generic matching criteria. And it's like a matrix. If you don't match with the first three, you can match with the next three, the three after, and so on. But most schemes that will be in the ecosystem do not use national insurance numbers as their number one identifier. They would use pension accounts. So there's a little bit of work still to be done on what that criteria will look like, but essentially it's the information you as employers provide us anyway. So there shouldn't really be too much work for you to do. The exception to this will be we work under our normal key performance indicators, KPIs. We have certain turnarounds that you may expect from us and we may expect from you. There will be a further set of dates and deadlines that we will be expected to respond to member inquiries. And one of those is 30 days from the first contact made. So if the data has been proved to be incorrect, we have 30 days to be able to get that information corrected and back to the member. So that may be that we'll be talking to employers and we would expect you to provide the information within that time period. There are various different types of data that's going to be needed, and most of those that we will take care of for you because we have it. So the name of the scheme and the nature of the benefits and all that sort of stuff we've done. Contextual information, survivor benefits and pension increase, things like that. And then signpost data, where do they find the logins? How do they find out about the ecosystem and the dashboard? And then we have at the bottom value data, which is the core data related to accrued and projected benefits. Now, that value data and contextual information can be affected if we don't have the right data. And I know you try to give us the best data all of the time, but now this is going to be on a public site. Members going to be accessing it at will. So we need to make sure that this is as accurate as possible. What the member will see is going to be restricted, as I said earlier. It will be the most recent annual benefit statement values. And if they have an additional voluntary contribution, an AVC, that value will be shown alongside it as well. Changes will happen over the course of a year. So we're not saying that those values will be there for 12 months until the next statement is produced. That might be the case. But just a couple of things I thought of that could possibly change the values. Somebody transfers in another pension. Once we've told that member, then I think we would be obliged to put that information on the dashboard. A divorce, someone's pension values could go down because a credit member will be introduced as a new joiner, and the value will be debited from that member's values. Change of membership status from active to deferred, that would need to be put on the dashboard. And of course, if someone retired, then we take their information off the dashboard completely because pensioners' information won't be shown. So we're not quite sure how quickly that this will happen. We'll need to see that in test and the revised legislation as it does revise through implementation. But it does mean that the information is going to be restricted, and at the very first instant will be the values on the annual benefit statement. The AVC values have been quite an interesting journey because no one really considered how they would be put on the dashboard alongside LGPS benefits. But very simply, West Yorkshire Pension Fund and the shared service will put our scheme benefits on the dashboard, and the AVC provider will send it separately to the dashboard, yet they will be displayed on the same page. So if it's a West Yorkshire Pension Fund member and an AVC member for Prudential, they will be together. If it was Barnet and their AVC, they would be together, etc. The only change from that is where anyone's got an utmost AVC, they will send all the data to us, and then we'll put that on the dashboard with the ABS information. So nothing much new there that I've said. It's all about the normal information, the normal data coming through year end, but there will be increased pressure on us at West Yorkshire Pension Fund. We're almost certain of that. The evidence of these kind of dashboards around the world have seen contact centres fall over through the volumes of calls that they've received in the first weeks and months of go live. So we do expect quite an increase in requests. We will expect members to become more engaged because they don't have to contact us or you, the employer, or the admin authority. They can just go to their phone and see the values. And of course, the more contact we have with the members, the more issues we might find with the data and the matching. We'll have those increased response times, and there will be, further work that follows off the back of the initial contact. For employers, I don't think the pressure will be there to start with, except for the top one. The data will be in the spotlight. Right now, if the data is a little late, we have some errors, we kind of resolve them amongst ourselves, and we do it in a professional way, and we still get the information on the annual benefit statements. But this is going to be in the public domain as such, or at least the member that's trying to contact us and find out their information or make sure the information is correct will be doing it through this dashboard. It's a big ticket item for the government. So there are some things to think about. Apart from ensuring your data is accurate as ever, you might need to consider things like how you speak to new employers, new joiners, what you tell them. We provide most of the paperwork and the information, but what do you do internally on the intranet or flyers and email information? What do you tell people about automatic enrolment? Because now you've got automatic enrolment as a legislation and you've got the dashboard. So there's probably some tweaking and some reviewing to do to your own documentation. And of course, if we get more queries, particularly around data matching and data errors, we will need to contact you. So your workloads could go up and your response time could need to be increased as well. Wrong way. We do need to make sure that we look after the data and we minimize the cybersecurity risks as much as possible. I'm just going to put all four up here. The legal basis for process, if we take that as read, we've got that. It's a statutory scheme. Transparency and obligations is quite an interesting one. Do you have privacy notices and do you have data sharing agreements? Because if you do, you may need to review those as well, particularly the data sharing agreements. I've mentioned an integrated service provider, an ISP, Bravura are the company we're using. will you need to make amendments to a data sharing agreement? Or if you don't have any of these policies or agreements, do you need to put one in place? I don't know, it's the answer, but I do know I've spoken to the admin authorities, Hounslow, Barnet, Lincolnshire, and they will have to make amendments to their data sharing agreement. So if you're not sure, it might be worth touching base with them. I've been mentioning a couple of times accurate data. I mean, the worst thing we can do is give the wrong information to the wrong person. But ultimately, there's the matching criteria and just getting the data right, because we don't want more queries, we want less. And we'll take care of the security once we've got that information like we do now, whether it's on our admin systems or portals, whatever it is, we will make sure that the security is taken care of in an appropriate fashion. So what about compliance and enforcement? Because you probably could be thinking, well, this is no different. I don't really need to worry about this. But the pension regulator are involved with the implementation and compliance of the dashboards, the whole ecosystem. Now, if we're trying our best, but we're not achieving a high enough standard, we may, that's any of us, get issued with a compliance notice. Now, that's not really a problem. It would come to the administrators possibly if we haven't put data on. It could go to the admin authorities as well, because they're responsible for the data that you're loading. But if we do a very poor job, and this is the bit that really worries me, there are sanctions. £5,000 per scheme member, or £50,000 for corporate trustees for other cases. Now, it's hard to see from the legislation at the moment where the responsibility of such a final sanction would be. Would it be with the admin authority? They're ultimately the scheme manager, they're responsible. If we don't do it at West Yorkshire, if we fail because we've had all the information but we haven't complied, do we pay that? Except West Yorkshire Pension Fund can't pay a fine out of the pension fund, so that would fall on Bradford. And just to sort of let you know where my mind goes with things like this, we've got about 280,000 scheme members that are in scope. So if we fall over globally, if my maths are right, it's about £1.4 billion. Now, I don't think that will happen because that's a doomsday scenario. But we still need to be watchful that we are adhering to this legislation and at all times doing the best that we can. If we have had an enforcement action, we've got 28 days to be able to challenge that, which seems quite a short time, but at least there's a way to say we're innocent. So who does what? Now, the FCA, Financial Conduct Authority, generally get involved only in the private sector. But we do have private sector elements to our benefits, and that's the AVCs. So we have to be involved with the FCA for that purpose. The ICO, Information Commissioner's Office, well, we deal with those on a regular basis, or unfortunately, I suppose, because that's where all our breaches are reported regarding data. The pension regulator, well, they're issuing guidance to MAPS as well as to the ecosystem, and they enforce the regulations. There's an interesting here that the point second from bottom, the TPR will target its action where it perceives the greatest risk to savers might occur. I don't think that will be us. I don't think we'll be the £1.4 billion in fines, because I think we'll all be trying to do the job correctly. But we just need to be aware there is that threat. And I think where the risk to savers might occur, it's where a scheme has not engaged with the dashboard ecosystem at all. MAPS, as we've said right at the beginning, is our dashboard. And we're working with them, and they are working with the TPR and the FCA. And this is where our data and our success rates with the dashboard will be reported, because MAPS will tell TPR and FCA so that they can perform compliance and enforcement functions. And lastly, MAPS is responsible for delivering the digital architecture. So it enables the providers and dashboard operators to interoperate across the ecosystem. And there's a standard that they'll make sure is employed, so everybody works the same way. A bit like the matching data criteria, it will be the same throughout the entire dashboard ecosystem. So that's just a bit of a summary of what's coming. Hopefully someone's got some questions. I'm happy to take those now.
So we do have a question, Matt, that's come through on the Q&A. So in terms of dashboards, would we still direct members to the online My LGPS pension to do a quick pension estimate?
If they come through to the employer, yes, send them there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think this is where we're a little bit uncertain how it will really look in reality, Amy, because we haven't gone live, we haven't gone to test, and the member can't see it. So if they just come through and they're going, I'd like an estimate, direct them to the normal processes. I think there, Amy, we'll probably have something about dashboard.
Yeah.
But remember, dashboard will only give the annual benefit statement.
The snapshot.
Value. Yeah. And the member may already know that. So I think unless we tell employers something new, and you're better positioned to know this than I am, we stick to the tried and tested processes, give the same information to the member about how they get their benefit values, their estimates, etc., and then we'll just update that as we go through this period, because it's going to be over a year, as I said, April 26 at least. Yeah.
And don't forget the My Pension calculator tool has the ability to show the member the different lump sum options, which the dashboard won't, because that's going to be a snapshot. And also they've got the option to look at various different ages, which is obviously really useful for members when they're planning their retirement. With the dashboard, they're going to be able to see like a holistic view of everything that they've got coming. So I think both tools used in tandem will be really useful for members' retirement planning. But certainly the My Pension system isn't going to become redundant, because that offers the member quite a bit more functionality in terms of different ages and different lump sum options as well. So hopefully that answers.
Yeah, just to add to that, I think you struck a point there. I think it will be like two-tier. I think the deferred members that we've lost contact with will really benefit from the dashboard. Yeah. Because once they get on the dashboard, they'll get that snapshot value, and then they can decide to contact us, the administrator, if they want to. Yeah. Whereas an active member should know where their benefits are, shouldn't they, Amy? So they shouldn't need to go to the dashboard. Well, at least I hope they would.
Well, they'll know where their LGPS benefits are, but they may not know where, other small pots that they've got, which I think that's important for members to be using both tools, definitely, in tandem. So we've got another question that's come through. Will we be involved in the testing process?
I don't think so, is my short answer. Because once we've had all your data for year end and we've produced the annual benefit statements, that's the information that we're going to upload. Okay. Then there are selected, I don't know what to call them really, but companies have been selected to test the data. So it's almost like there's a company out there that are professional testers. Yeah, which sounds a little bit daft, doesn't it? But this is the government's aim, is to get it independently tested, not by our employers or scheme administrators. We're not involved. We put the data out, then they'll have a look at it and go yes or no, it needs a tweak. So I wouldn't expect any additional work for employers because of that. But because we're not there yet, and I'm a little bit vague on what this testing group looks like, can I just leave that door open to go, I'll come back to you if it changes?
Yeah, I think that's sensible. I think the main message for employers on the dashboard is just that focus on your data, because that is going to obviously pay dividends down the line when the data is more visible to members. If it's accurate, there's no queries, that alleviates that pressure later down the line. If we've got to resolve these queries in that 30-day turnaround, let's get them right to start with. I think that's the main message for you guys today is just all around the quality of your data. Another question come through, and I suspect this is going to be a wait and see, but let's field the question and see what you think, Matt. So on the dashboard, if a member takes flexible retirement and only say takes the final salary section, so they've only taken partial benefits, will the remaining care pensions still show on the dashboard? Because that's obviously not paid yet.
My understanding is yes. And to keep it simple at the moment, that care benefit that's still accruing will get an annual benefit statement every year.
Yeah.
So if there's an annual benefit statement, then that can go on to the dashboard. It is an interesting question, actually, because I suppose the point I made earlier about pensioners should know what their pension value is. So I suppose if you know what you're being paid and you know what's to come or on your annual benefit statement, you've got to be a bit of work for the member, isn't there? They can add the two together. But yeah, so I think yes, but let's see what happens when it all gets tested.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, so I think we can move on now to Richard, who's going to talk to you about levers, prioritising your levers, and how you can tackle that that task in preparation for this the pensions dashboard. So over to you, Richard.
Thanks, Amy. Thanks, Matt. Some interesting and exciting work coming up. Let me just share my slides with you. So hopefully everyone can see those okay.
Yep, that's all.
Okay, brilliant. For anyone who hasn't met me before, like Amy says, my name's Richard Quinn, and I am one of your designated employer pension fund representatives. So thank you for joining us today. The main focus of today's session from myself is all about prioritising your levers and ultimately understanding your responsibilities, who's responsible for what, and also looking at some steps to success. So take into account the work that's going to be coming up with the pensions dashboard, etc. Obviously, there's things we can be doing now and processes to make your lives easier in the long run and just make everything more manageable. So today's agenda, I'll be touching on the pensions administration strategy. So that ties in with the key performance indicators that Matt mentioned. So I'll outline what our performance indicators are for West Yorkshire Pension Fund, and also what is expected in regards to you as the scheme employer and ultimately your employer responsibilities. I'll briefly touch on the pensions dashboard just to sort of emphasize that obviously this is going to create more visibility and scrutiny and engagement from members. So it's just understanding that and just making sure that we've got the processes in place and moving in the right direction in preparation for that as well. I'll provide an overview of the current situation of outstanding levers, just so you can see the numbers, and also to understand how you can prioritize these just to maintain, keep on top of your levers and continue to work to reduce the outstanding volumes as well. We've developed some new resources to assist with levers and also your understanding of the scheme. So following feedback, I'll introduce those resources that are now available to you. And finally, just to emphasize the message that we're here to help, we're here to work with you to deal with all aspects of pensions administration. So I'll outline how to contact the employee relations team and also your designated PFR. Just to emphasize we're here to help and how best to contact us as well. So the pensions administration strategy is a key document that outlines the duties of us as the pension scheme administrator and also you as the employer in the pension funds. So it's important to understand that as a scheme employer, it is ultimately your responsibility to ensure that your duties, whether this is delegated to a third party provider, are adhered to. And it's also effectively making sure that the members' experience in the scheme is a positive one as well, because ultimately it's all about maintaining and paying members' benefits at the end of the day. The statement also sets out the possible penalties that may be incurred should your responsibilities not be adhered to. So it's a key document to view and have access to. And obviously, if you do delegate to a third party provider, then it is something you would need to make them aware of and have as part of your conversations if changing payroll provider or outsourcing to a new payroll provider. So employee responsibilities. So we understand that as an employer, pensions is not a main area of your responsibilities, but it is still one of your responsibilities. So we understand that there's statutory requirements for the information that is submitted to us. As well, with the pensions dashboard coming up, we're also in evaluation year. So the information you submit to us is important, that is accurate. So such things as submitting the monthly return files, dealing with your exception reports, processing any scheme leavers, and dealing with queries. So we have deadlines for submitting the forms that you must adhere to, and it's also about allocating the time and resources to manage your responsibilities and ultimately your leavers as well. So we understand if you're dealing with payroll queries or processing the payroll, then it's maybe looking at the time you have each month to allocate the necessary time and resources to manage your responsibilities. Because if you manage them on a month-to-month basis, then you're looking at bite-sized chunks of doing something rather than ending up after a period of dealing with an accumulation of the levers. And it's just more manageable to action it from a month-to-month basis. So as Matt's explained about the pension dashboard, the deadline for the public sector is October 2025. So it's even more important that you fulfill your employee responsibilities and action it in a timely manner. So members are going to be given the tools to engage more with their pensions. So that's going to mean increased visibility and scrutiny over the data that we hold. And the more work we put in now to keep the data accurate and up to date is going to create less work down the line as well, because if the information is not accurate, it's going to create more work to look into access information, historical records as well, and then having records in the correct status, which also feeds into the valuation, because that is formed as part of your actuarial assessment and can have a financial impact, as this can result in a higher contribution rate being set for the next 3 years. So it is really important that your responsibilities are carried out in a timely manner and in line with the key performance indicators. So what we're going to do now is just have a look at levers overview. So first of all, the Employee Relations team and West Yorkshire Pension Fund want to say a massive thank you to all employers and their payroll providers and any member of staff that's helped and put all the hard work in and effort to bringing down the total number of levers. We're in a significantly better position than we were from a year to 2 years ago. And as you'll see, that the total numbers are almost under 2,500 across all 4 clients, which is an amazing effort. So we just want to say that thank you for all the hard work that you have put in, and we'll be working with you as well to improve on that going forward. So as you'll see, the difference in the numbers across the 4 clients, it's important to understand that obviously each client is different in size, so the size and number of employers is going to have an impact on the volumes of outstanding levers. The 2 main areas that we really want to focus on, especially with regards to the valuation and the pensions dashboard, is that 2024 outstanding levers accounts for 50% or higher of the total outstanding levers. So if we can really focus and put some effort into that, it will reduce the volumes even further and put you in a better position and make it even more manageable for you. And the other area is the historical levers. So we have 30%, which are pre-2024 levers, and we have some levers outstanding going back 10 plus years. So in line with the pension administration strategy and the deadlines for submitting forms, we really shouldn't have any levers going back 10 plus years, but we understand that can be as a result of complications. So we're here to work with you to address those areas. And the next couple of slides will provide a visualization of the volumes associated with each client, the levers per year, and we're also going to look at the top 10 payroll providers based on the levers outstanding. So as I've said, in regards to the total outstanding levers, the total are almost under 2,500 across all 4 clients, which is a massive, brilliant effort from everyone involved and a really good position to be in and to build on. Obviously, the size of the client and the fund and the number of employers will differ from each client, and the size of the employees as well will have an impact on those numbers. But obviously we're moving in the right direction, so it's a really positive starting point to build on as well. The next slide is basically emphasizing that the client leaver totals per year, and it's just to emphasize that obviously we have a significant number of leavers that are still outstanding going back several years, and that make a significant percentage of the total outstanding leavers. So as you'll see, each fund has over 50% plus of the total outstanding leavers currently sitting in 2024. So that can be an overwhelming factor to look at, think, oh, that's quite a lot of numbers. But if we get into a process where you're managing those month by month basis and more manageable bite-sized chunks, that will become more manageable. And obviously we're going to touch on some different methods and options available to you to prioritize those levers and just help reduce those numbers and just make things more manageable. And obviously from a pensions dashboard and evaluation standpoint, just put you in a better position, especially with the increased scrutiny and visibility. So for any employer who do outsource their pension service to a third-party payroll provider, we just wanted to provide an overview of the payroll providers with the top 10 outstanding levers. It's also just to emphasize that we do work closely with several payroll providers and hold regular meetings to address various areas of work, and several have worked and put the effort in to drive down volumes and continue to do so. So those numbers have come down, and we continue to work with them and offer support in order for them to assist them further. But ultimately, as I've mentioned earlier, as the scheme employer, it is your responsibility to ensure all the information, including leaver or retirement notifications, are submitted and that they're carrying out the necessary duties in a timely manner. It's also important to note that the total numbers outstanding are reported based on who is currently listed as the payroll provider for any given employer. So we're aware that several employers have changed payroll providers recently or in the process of doing so. So this will result in the levers that are outstanding prior to your current payroll provider being listed in the total. So there's going to be a percentage that aren't their responsibility if you have already changed or in the process of changing. But that means if you are thinking of changing, then you need to make sure that as the employer, you've got agreements in place to make sure that they're completing any work that is outstanding, and to also make sure that you get provided with data extracts of all the information that was held with them. That will then assist you as the employer to submit the outstanding levers. And if any queries come down the line and we need to go back and look to it, you've got access to that information. And obviously with Matt mentioning about the response time for queries, it's going to be important even more so to have access to that information, because if you don't, that's going to ultimately delay the ability to be able to respond to those queries as well. So after looking at the volumes of levers, it may be overwhelming to think how you may tackle these, or you're not sure what the current situation is in respect of you as an individual employer, or if you form a part of a group of employers as like a multi-academy trust or a trust, then it can help you to prioritize your levers and make a less daunting task and more manageable. So one of the major changes that Amy has mentioned previously is we've identified records that hold care-only membership. So our lever report now has the date joined. So this will allow us to identify the quick win. So these are the simple, straightforward cases that will help you to reduce your numbers in total and then make it even more manageable to manage those, the volumes of outstanding levers. What we do recommend is that you action as soon as you're able to. So yes, we have the key performance indicators of when we expect you to submit levers, but the sooner you're able to, it will help you to stay on top of your levers. It's then more manageable. So you've got bite-sized chunks, so you action it from month to month. Like I say, if you refer back to the overview slide of the 2024 levers, that'd be overwhelming to action and the total that's outstanding for 2024. But if these were being actioned month by month, then obviously it is more manageable and easier to do. You obviously need to allocate time and resources to action the levers. So looking at current leavers, historical leavers, but making sure you're allocating the resources to both and not necessarily just focusing on one fundamentally, because if you're focusing on the historical leavers solely, then the current leavers will still continue to grow. So it's just about managing your time and resources. You also have access to the exception reports. So each month, the monthly return file is submitted. We produce the exception reports. There's a series of reports that will provide you confirmation of a list of leavers that require a leaver notification or retirement notification. So if you do outsource your payroll, this is a way for you to help monitor how they're performing and also to make sure that the information that is submitted to us is correct. You can end up with situations where someone is listed as a leaver because there's been a change to their contract in some form, and that's been treated as a leaver when it should just be a continuation. So it's just helping to manage that situation and process actual leavers as well. Just makes it easier from the whole set. One of the biggest changes and developments we've done is we've simplified the leaver form. So the leaver form is for anyone who's left the scheme under age 55. So we've removed elements which have identified that causes confusion, results in duplicate or missing information. So this is following feedback from yourselves that have said it is the form is confusion, it's complicated. So we've looked at removing aspects of this. So we've removed the request for the cumulative pensionable pay, the CPP, on the leaver form. That will be used now based on the CPP from the monthly return file. We've also amended the form to simplify the question about are they entitled to a deferred benefit. So that will help streamline the form being sent through where it's not been completed or completed incorrectly, and therefore we have to come back and request further information or raise queries. This way, it's going to help to avoid delays because you can process information and submit it quicker to us, and we can make sure we're getting all the necessary information for us to process the benefits. And ultimately, it's going to improve the member experience because we can confirm their level of benefits to them a lot sooner and without any necessary delays. And especially with the pensions dashboard coming in, it's going to be more visible, and with the members engaging more, they'll pick up on any information that doesn't look quite correct. So when it comes to prioritizing your levers, we have developed the levers report, so you can contact us or your PFR to request a prioritized list of levers. What we can do now is identify care only, so we can highlight that in the traffic light system. So we can highlight your care only cases in green. So these will be your easy, straightforward cases to complete and potentially a quick win for you to help reduce the numbers of your levers. The red highlighted cases will be the oldest levers, so potentially a bit more complicated, but still a priority. The amber levers will be your most current or recent levers, so it's not necessarily requiring action because it's still maybe within the time scale of submitting the form to us. And using this employee as an example, so there's 32 outstanding levers. 22 of those are care only, so they're quick wins. So you should be able to allocate resources to reduce those down significantly, and therefore making it more manageable to look into your historical ones or the complicated ones, or even contacting your PFR on how best to approach a case or what information is required if you're struggling to understand that aspect. It just makes it far more easier to manage everything, and we can provide that list for you upon request. Third-party payroll provider, we have touched on this, but if as an employer you have outsourced or delegated your duties to a third party, that is fine. We're happy to work with any approved third party you want us to, and we do work quite closely with a lot of the payroll providers that already work with West Yorkshire Pension Fund. Ultimately, the responsibility still lies with yourself, which is a key message I'm trying to get across. To ensure that all the necessary information is submitted to create, maintain and process members' benefits. So you need to ensure you have processes in place to monitor this, and we provide you with tools and resources to also keep on top of this, such as the exception reports. We can provide member audit reports and the outstanding levers report also for you to access and make sure that the information is being actioned and sent to us. If you do change payroll providers, then obviously you need to ensure that you have copies of all data extracts and that agreements are in place for the completion of any outstanding work. If there aren't any agreements or processes put in place, then obviously you as an employer will be responsible for having to submit those leavers. So if you're not aware of the process itself or you don't generally deal with it, then you will need to get in touch with your PFR and the employee relations team, and we'll work with you to provide any training, assistance and guidance that you may need. But ultimately, if you have those agreements in place and you're aware of any changes, then just having that planning and the processes in place will really help to limit the risk and issues surrounding changing payroll providers. And just the last point, any issues with a third party, we will contact the strategic contact. They are the registered point of contact for escalation or if we're having any difficulties or require further clarification. So we will keep you aware of any issues we're having, and we will work with yourselves and your payroll provider to assist and work through any issues that we identify at the time. So some key points to remember with regards to leavers. So submit an online leaver form or retirement notification as soon as reasonably possible. Make sure the information you supply on the leaver form is 100% accurate, and this is what we use to calculate and pay members' benefits. I will make you aware that you do have access via the employer portal to view the information that is held on our system, which is submitted via the monthly return file that you send to us. So you do have access to information to check that what you are going to be sending is accurate and in line with what we hold, and that will help prevent queries. If you need any further guidance to calculate and pay, there is a link on the form that you complete to our pay fact sheet, and we've also developed some new guides which I will touch on in the upcoming slides. Be prepared for us to come back for pay information from you if we do discover if there's anything that hasn't been included on the file or we've identified some other circumstances that may mean we need some additional information. So just being aware of those queries and responding promptly to them will help us not only action the benefits a lot sooner and clear those levers off the case. And then more importantly is if you are still unsure, then just ask your PFR or contact the employee relations team. We're here to help you. So if you are struggling, it's best to ask, and then we can advise you in the first instance and point you in the direction to any additional resources that you may need or require. So as I mentioned, we've developed some new resources, and this is on the back of the feedback that we've had from several employers. Basically, we've created 2 new how-to guides, so covering how to calculate final pay and how to calculate assumed pensionable pay. So they're comprehensive guides that will be a good reference point, reference tool for you that will help build your own knowledge base, but assist you when it comes to levers and make you more confident in dealing with future final pay and APP queries. So we've covered scenario-based practical examples. So we've covered the most common scenarios you'll come across. So as requested in feedback, there are some now practical working examples that you can work through to assist in your understanding. But like I say, if there are any issues and you're still struggling, then please do just get in touch. We're here to help. Dealing with levers, best practice. So you or your payroll provider tell us on the monthly data file that someone has left by inputting a date of leaving. We then send a letter to the member to notify them that you've told us that they have left and that we will be in contact in due course to provide them confirmation of their benefits. You should then complete an online leaver notification or retirement notification via the employer portal. So as we've said, if they're under 55, it is a leaver notification. If they're over 55 or it's an ill health retirement of any age, then you would complete a retirement notification. You have access to the exception reports, which are produced each month, which identify who we've been told is a leaver. So it's a great way for you to monitor the performance and check that someone has in fact left. It is a correct leaver. It's not a case where someone has maybe changed an aspect of their contract and therefore have been ended on the HR payroll system and sort of like resulted in a new record being created. So it's just another way of helping you keep on top of levers. So I just want to briefly touch on what we mean when we refer to leavers. So we're effectively making reference to someone ending active membership of the pension scheme rather than someone terminating employment with you as an employer. So what we mean is someone has actively stopped paying into the pension scheme in regards to their role. So they could have either have left employment, they might have opted out, so they don't want to continue paying into the pension scheme, but they are still currently working for you. They've reached age 75 and they must be opted out of the scheme, or they're no longer eligible for the LGPS in that post. So you may have someone who's now eligible to be in the teacher's pension scheme and therefore no longer eligible to be in the LGPS. So this is particularly common where someone has more than one post. So they've got 3 posts. The cleaner post has stopped contributing in the scheme, so we need a leaver notification for this post or a retirement notification, but they're still continuing in employment in the other posts. We have a separate record created for each individual employment record a member has. So that's what we mean when we need, say, a scheme leaver. If they've stopped contributing to the scheme, we require a leaver notification. To assist you in completing the leaver form, we have put together a quick leaver form checklist. So ensure when submitting a leaver form, it's actioned against the correct member's record. So as we saw on the previous slide, that member had 3 different records. So it's important you are submitting the leaver form against the correct record. If it isn't actioned, we'll process benefits on that record, and potentially the member will raise queries or we've calculated incorrect benefits. So it's important to make sure it is actioned against the correct record. As I mentioned, you can review the additional data views via the employer portal. So this is the information that is submitted on the monthly return file. So when you're completing the information on the leaver form, you can double check that it is accurate and in line with what we already hold. So you have access to the service history to check the members' hours, the monthly postings, which is where we record the pensionable pay, employees and employers' contributions. You've got the earnings and contributions, which can be used to help cross-reference against the final pay. And then final pay figure may be required for any pre-1st of April 2014 joiner. If it's a start date after the 1st of April 2014, it's care only. So this is your simple, straightforward case that you can process and potentially allocate to new members of staff or someone who's not as experienced or as confident in dealing with the more complex queries. We need you to ensure the correct date of leaving is input, as we need to make sure the benefits are calculated up to the correct point, and the correct reason for leaving. So this impacts benefits massively. Potentially there could be an employer cost. So if you're selecting the wrong reason, an incorrect employer cost would be payable. Overpayments may happen as well. So we need to recover that. But if it's an employer error, we will do that. We will seek reimbursement of the overpayment from yourselves, and it will be down to yourselves to then look at recovering that from the member. So make sure the information is accurate in the first instance. It means we can process the benefits a lot sooner and reduce any errors or miscalculations on that front as well. So as I've said, you can access information through the employer portal to see what is on the member's record. The additional data tab, once you've logged in and accessed the member's record, gives you access to the AVC view. It confirms if there's an AVC arrangement in place. The earnings and contributions, again, can be used to cross-check final pay figures for any pre-1st of April 14 membership. The monthly postings, that contains all the information that's submitted on the monthly return file, so you can check the pensionable pay CPP totals, determine if there's any missing CPP, APP that we should have been made aware of, and then correct the records. It's got the annual rates of pay on to cross-reference again against the final salary membership and service. So you can check if the member's records hours are recorded correctly on the record, and where it's not, you can use the record maintenance form to update the member's details. So for anyone who does outsource to a payroll provider and doesn't normally access the employer portal, I just wanted to guide you through a quick demo of how to access member records. So you will have, if you've been an authorized user, you'll have been given a username and password. Once you've logged in, you can click on search and then membership. That will bring you to the search criteria, where you can either search under the unique pension reference that we have on our system. It also gets quoted on the email subject header for queries, so you can come in and check the members record if you've got a query to see what's going on. You can search under surname, forename, or we do recommend using the unique identifier such as the national insurance number, folder reference, or date of birth. So that can be used to find the members record. Then once you're in the members record, you'll see the membership details, so key information such as date joint scheme, and this will help you answer the questions on the leaver notification. There's personal details, additional data to access those additional data views, and then you've got the actions tab. So this is where you'll access all the online forms available, such as the additional pay, change of address, death of an active member. But for scheme leavers, you've got the leaver notification. So again, that's anyone under age 55, or the retirement notification, which is anyone over 55 or ill health retirement at any age. So that's how you access the forms. As we've said, the PFRs are here to help you with your LGPS scheme responsibilities. We provide advisory, training support by working directly with you as the scheme employer or your designated third-party payroll provider. So we're with direct contact for employer pension queries. If you have any questions, you can get in contact with us or contact your PFR directly. We provide employer training workshops, so if any of the members of the team need additional training or ad hoc training, we can provide them, but we do run employer training and workshops throughout the year for anyone to access and book onto. We can provide you with a prioritised leavers list, so help you to prioritise which leavers to action and make you aware of what the current situation is in regards to you as an individual employer. Membership audits we can provide you, which will give you a list of all the members we have listed under your employer location, that list active, deferred, pensioner, and will also highlight any outstanding leavers on that as well. And we can book in meetings with you as the employer and your payroll provider to assist or just have regular meetings just to touch base and keep in contact with you to offer assistance and discuss how you can tackle your leavers, other areas of pensions administration, and just work with you on that side just through the employer meetings on a regular basis. So employer training continues to be delivered online via Microsoft Teams. As Amy said, we can book in ad hoc training if required. So do get in touch with us, and if the numbers are there, we can arrange something for you and discuss how best to schedule something in. So it's not just the employer side, there's the member engagement as well that we've touched on about. We have been running our preparing for year end. So we've been running sessions for that. And there's some still running. So if you haven't already booked on, so please do. There's slides and videos of previous series can be found on our training and events page. And that's also how to access any training that we're currently running. We've touched on the Pension Matters blog earlier from Amy, but I just want to emphasise it is one of the key communication tools here at West Yorks Pension Fund is the Pension Matters blog. So we use it to get key messages out, not only about regulatory updates, we make you aware of training, events we're running, third-party events that we're also running as well. We provide best practice guidance, system downtime, and just making you aware of key messages that we need to make you aware of. You'll also, once you've signed up, you'll get a monthly roundup of the key messages. So if there's anything you may have missed, you'll get a monthly roundup as well, just to make you aware of some of the topics we've been touched on. And it's a simple process to sign up. You would just click on the link, enter your email and click follow, and you'll be kept up to date with all the key messages that you'll need to help you fulfill your responsibilities, build your knowledge, and make you aware of any issues that you should be aware of. You also have access to a wealth of training resources. So you've got the WIPF's website that has a designated member section and a designated employer zone. So in the employer zone, you can access the administration guides, There's forms, guides, and fact sheets that will assist you in different areas of work, such as the pay fact sheet. There's employer training and events that you can access. You can also access guides from the local government association. So they have HR guides, payroll guides, auto enrolment, discretions. And the LGA also offer bite-sized training as well, such as assumed pensionable pay, final pay, active ill health, and deferred ill health. So these are short, interactive, bite-sized training sessions that you can go through. They'll test and reaffirm your knowledge, and a lot of employers have fed back that they found them really helpful on top of the resources we provide you as well. So it's just some things to make aware that if you feel like your knowledge isn't up to where you want it to be, or you need some assistance, get in contact with us. We can point you in the direction to any training resources we have access to, and that you've also got access to from third parties as well. If you do have any specific scenarios you're struggling with or still require some assistance, then like I say, we're here to help. So you can contact us. There is the members helpline and the designated members contact center team. So if there's any member has any queries, they can ring that number or drop that email message, and they will assist any members you've got that have any questions. If you have any generic employer questions, then please contact the employer helpline. We have our employer relations team mailbox, or you can contact your designated PFR by clicking on your employer relations team link. If you're not sure who your pension fund representative is, you can find this out by accessing the employer portal. If you then click on view location details, pay location, you'll see the member details screen appears and your PFR will be listed there. So make sure it's Quinn Rick or Richard Quinn, and then you just see that I'm your designated PFR and contact me. So you just find out who your designated PFR is, and you can go to the contact page to find the direct contact details for your PFR. And finally, just some key actions to take away from today's session. So contact your PFR for a prioritised list of leavers. That will help you or put it into an order that will be more manageable for you, so you're not overwhelmed with the volumes. Submit leave or retirement notifications promptly as soon as possible as you're able to. Ensure accurate information submitted in the first instance. If you do get any queries, then please deal with these promptly. Contact your PFR if you need assistance on any area of pensions admin. Review your authorised contacts, the authorised users you've granted access to. Do they have the correct access? Do you have enough resources allocated? Do you have cover in case anyone is off? Just making sure that your contacts are regularly up to date. And if you've left, let us know if anyone's left as well, because then we need to restrict access to anyone who's left. Just helps you to be able to have the right resources in place to manage your leavers and your responsibilities. Review your exception reports. This will help you monitor if you do outsource to a third party, and also just to give you an indication of the levers you have access that you need to action. And finally, attend or request trainings. Like, we run training throughout the year, so please attend. It will help you improve your knowledge base, make it easier for when completing tasks. Or if you feel your knowledge isn't up to scratch and you want to feel more confident, then please get in contact with us. You can request training, and we can provide some ad hoc training or any demonstrations for the system access as well. And that brings us to the end of the presentation. Hope you found that informative and really helpful in understanding your levers and how we can support you and understanding your responsibilities.
That's great. Thank you very much, Richard. Huge amount of information there. And we have had a few questions come through the chat. I'm just going to summarise what's coming through just for the benefit of everyone. So regarding the payroll providers, obviously have collective clients across our 4 funds. So the purpose of showing you that information is if you do use one of those payroll providers, it's important that you engage with that payroll provider to make sure they're doing what you think that they're doing for you. So are they completing the levers like you would expect them to do? You'll see that data plan there was showing the highest. that is for two reasons. That's number one, because they have a huge amount of employers within our 4 funds, but secondly, they do have a little bit of a backlog as well. So we just want to encourage those who do outsource the payroll to engage with the payroll provider, to make sure that the payroll provider is doing the things that you're expecting them to do, and what you're paying them to do as well. We can work with you to let you know what's outstanding for your particular employer, and then you can obviously take that up with your payroll provider. So that was kind of the rationale behind showing you the payroll providers there. And then the second point that is probably the most important point from Richard's presentation is the list that we can now prioritize for you. Those cases that we're colouring in green are what we're calling care only leavers. So for those cases, the leaver form is so simple for you to do, because there's no requirement for you to calculate the final pay for those cases. Those cases should take you a matter of minutes to complete, because it's just a case of the reason and date of leaving. So that's kind of the different approach that we're encouraging you to take with dealing with your leavers, because that will allow you to shift your volumes quicker by looking at the easier cases first. So I am conscious we are running a little bit behind time, so I will pass over to Stu, who is going to talk to you about our digital update. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Amy, and thank you, Richard. That was really informative. Well, thank you for having me at the Employer Engagement Forum. It's a while since I've had the opportunity to speak at one of these for a little while. Just a quick check, make sure you can hear me and see my screen. So I'll talk a little bit about what we've done over the last 6 months, year, a little bit about what we're doing at the minute, something that's upcoming, and also a little bit of help, if we can, from any employers in a position to do so. So first thing to talk about, which we have talked about in some various spaces before, is the website. So hopefully you've probably noticed we launched a new fund website for both West Yorkshire Pension Fund and the wider shared service and our fire administration service in September. So we did that for a number of reasons. The old website was built on some old technology. It was fairly deprecated, really. There's lots of good things there about the information that was there, but it wasn't easy to find, and it didn't work particularly well for people who were accessing it, particularly from mobile devices. So that new website's now live. Hopefully you've been around it. Richard beautifully did some work for me there, looking at showing you where some of the things are on the employer pages. And we've designed it with a very sort of clear navigation theory that if you want to go and find something, you should be able to find it through the intention of what you want to do, and particularly thinking about the member journeys. So I'll talk about those a little bit. As Richard said, everything for the for LGPS employers is in that employer zone. We've tried to collect it all into one space for you. So whether you're wanting to log into one of the employer portals, find a guide, jump into hot topics for the latest news, manage your contacts, it's all there in that space. So hopefully you've found that useful in that consolidation space. For members, we've tried to squash the fund, all of the information about the LGPS into two kind of key areas. The first one there in the centre for local government members is the LGPS Essentials. So thinking about those intentions, if you're thinking about retiring, there's a section there that will help you and support you with the information you need. Or if you're paying in, then the information that's relevant for that. It's difficult to fit an over 100-year-old pension fund and all the rules and information we wanted to share into just those 6 semantic spaces. So what we've also created behind that is the LGPS Knowledge Hub, where we've got some sort of collected deeper dives into some of the bigger topics, things like AVCs that are regulation heavy and quite complicated, how the care scheme works, that sort of thing. And then also the wider resources we have, so things like forms and guides, member newsletters, and videos and that sort of thing. And we've tried to make it as easy as possible for members to find their own their own information in the My Pension service as well by having that persistent My Pension login wherever they go on the website. As I said, the old website was built on some very old technology, which limited what we could do. So we're really keen to make use of the new technology platform that we're on. And that rolls us on to one of the things we've just done, which is last week we launched a live chat facility. So if you go to our website now, you'll be able to talk live to one of our contact center agents. I'm sure most of you have probably used a chat service, or might be with your bank, with Amazon, somebody like that. And we've tried to design this to be as consistent and regular an experience as you would normally have. We've built it very intentionally at this point so that when you start a chat, you immediately go through to a real person to have that chat. Unless there's a number of people, then you might be in a short queue, which it will explain. We will look at trying to build perhaps some logic trees or potentially some AI chatbots there, but we wanted to launch this for our teams to be able to support members straight away, and also so we could understand the sorts of conversations that our members want to have with us as well. So I'm really excited that that's gone live. If you do fancy a go, please do go on and chat, but it is a member-based service, so don't be going on there trying to get support from an employer perspective, if that's okay, please. Also within that sort of digital space in the website, we've just shifted how we do our website, our newsletters a bit. So those of you who've been working with us for a while will remember we used to print sort of PDF A5 newsletters and send them out to 250,000 active members. These days, with the cost of postage, extortionate cost. So we've moved, as we've got more and more members online through the My Pension service, we've moved to sending out those newsletters electronically. We did it a half step originally, so we still produced what would have been the printed document, and we just put that PDF on the website and signposted members to access it. We've now moved fully into doing that online, so they actually receive what you would more regularly recognise as an e-newsletter. We put a note on Pension Matters to say that had been released. Around the same time that we'd also done a bit of work just redesigning how Pension Matters looked. I don't know if anybody particularly noticed. Hopefully you've found that a bit fresher and cleaner to work with. So that's what we've been doing. This is what we're now doing right now. The big one is we're looking at that member portal, that member self-service space, My Pension. It's a bolt-on to our existing administration service, which means we're not in control of how it works and what it does. So we've been looking and working to try and develop our own version of that portal, essentially. So there's a piece of work been going on for about a year now, looking at what members would like to see from it, how to make it easy, clean, and remove the friction that people have. The biggest challenge our members have is actually registering and logging into My Pension. That's not the easiest process. So we've got some screenshot examples there of what we're trying to build so that it becomes a much more familiar standard experience of what you would expect logging into a self-service portal to be. And on that basis, we've then stepped back a bit and said, well, how do people want to access their information that we hold about them? So we've tried to build much more of a dashboard style format. I have to be careful using the dashboard word after the information you've heard this morning from Matt about pension dashboards. This is not that. This is very much the My Pension service reimagined by us. So we've built a test version that we're now working through some internal testing and working with an outside security firm to make sure that it's as secure as it can possibly be. I'm really excited about where this is going, and hopefully during this year we'll be able to launch this to members with a very similar feature set initially to what we offer through My Pension, but with the opportunity to go forwards and add features that really add value for you as employers and for us as an administrator. At the time when we do release it, we will make sure there's lots of material available for employers to be able to advertise that out to your members. So something else that we're sort of working on at the minute is building our social media presence through LinkedIn. You might not initially be hugely interested in that, but it's important to us, aside from all of the standard sort of corporate identity and promotion reasons. It's a really useful space for recruitment. I'm sure you, just like us, it can be really hard to find good people, and particularly in pension administration across the country, finding good, experienced pension administrators, both on the pension administration side and on the investment side, is really hard. And this has been a really useful tool to us over the last 6 months or so. We've done 3 or 4 recruitment exercises that have been really successful through it. LinkedIn, it's a perfectly nice platform if you can wade through all of the humble boasts, but actually it's quite thin in some ways as well. The West Yorkshire Pension Fund profile only really has weight if people who work for it, like me, engage with it, and people who we connect with and work with in the wider industry actually engage with it as well. So particularly for some of the larger employers, if you do have teams that have LinkedIn profiles for your organisations and you're doing something pensions related, we'd love it if you could just tag us or share that content to us. It would be really, really useful, and it will help us grow the profile of that page, which means more people see it, which means the recruitment is even better. So that's my little ask out to yourselves. And then the other thing we're working on right now is a new webinar platform. So this session's been delivered through Teams. It's perfectly fine for this, but it's not bespoke for all of the suite of presentations we do for employers and really members as well. So we're working with a company called On24 to roll out a new bespoke webinar platform. It will have benefits for us. Obviously, we wouldn't do it if there wasn't anything for us useful. It will bring all of the organisation and event lifestyle processing into that package, instead of us using 4 or 5 different platforms. So we have some efficiency gains for us, and we can do all the branding and the nice things and the tools for analytics to see where you're getting bored when I'm speaking, and then improve those things in the future. But what it will do as well, it natively puts all of the content we prepare and produce online on demand in a space where people can access that whenever they want, which is great. And the really, really big thing for me personally, particularly for member facing webinar work, is about privacy. Teams is great, but if I go into the people button on the app there, I can see everybody that's here, and sometimes even their email addresses. That's fine. We're all friends. We're professionals. We're doing a professional thing here. That's fine. But that's not ideal when we're working with members. They should have that privacy built into the presentations we offer. So that I'm really keen to offer that. Also, because it's a bespoke system, we can tailor what's shown to you whilst we're working through there's designing each webinar. So if there's related content we want to share, or guides, or links to videos, or a series of webinars where we want to feed you down a path of information, then we can do all those things. So really excited to be working with Amy's team getting that built, and hopefully as we roll through towards the summer, you'll see a bit of information. So if anybody's got any questions they'd like us to pop into the Q&A or into the chat, I'm happy to have a look and answer those. I'm conscious we are just running slightly behind schedule. So
couple of questions that I have managed to answer. Members will have to re-register for the new platform. That's correct, isn't it, Stu? We will provide some support on the comms around that, but that's something that's unfortunately unavoidable, isn't it?
It is, unfortunately, because we're moving into a completely different platform. We can't migrate people over automatically, but we will, with the communications we do to existing users, we will dress it up as a migration registration exercise, because we're going to add some multi-factor authentication, that sort of thing. So it won't feel like they're doing something exactly repetitive that they've done with the first time they've registered. So hopefully that will mitigate a few frustrations.
And I think that's it for questions. Anybody have any final questions on anything that Stu's gone through? Oh, one's just popped through. Yeah, my pension will be available for deferred members. So just in the same way that it is now for our actives, pensioners, deferreds, it's essentially a development of the current system that we have, which should be much more user friendly, easier to register, a much nicer customer journey. So it's only going to improve what we have now. Stuart, would we agree with that?
Wholeheartedly, yes.
Yes, wonderful. Okay, so thank you very much for your update, Stu. Lots of exciting things coming on our digital front. I'm going to hand over now to Joe Kerry and James Bolton, who have joined us this morning from My Money Matters. I know they're here, but I can't see them just at this moment. Here we go. There we go.
You see me okay?
It's just loading, so perfect. Yeah, that's great. We can see you. So over to James and Joe, who are going to talk you through My Money Matters and all of the different things that they offer and the savings that they can potentially make for you as employers. So over to you, Joe.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Amy. James, are you there?
I am,
available?
yes.
Okay, excellent. So yeah, introducing My Money Matters. So we'll just do some brief introductions first. Starting with James.
Good morning, everyone. My name's James Bolton. I'm head of public sector at My Money Matters. I've been here since the start of the organisation being formed back in 2018. Prior to that, for my sins, I spent over 20 years working at Prudential in their corporate pensions team dealing with AVC. So apologies about that. But I joined the organisation in 2018 when it was AVC wise. And we are now called My Money Matters, which Joe will explain as he delivers the session today. Thank you, Joe.
Thanks, James. Yeah, so good morning all, still in the morning. My name's Joe Kerry, Business Development Manager here at My Money Matters. Prior to working at My Money Matters, I did work in local government myself. I worked for Lancashire County Council for around 4 years and around 4 years at LPPA, which is one of the main pension administration companies in the country. So I do know a thing or two about the local government pension scheme, as it seems. Okay, so let's get into it then. So who are we? So we are My Money Matters. We were founded as AVC wise back in 2018, delivering education in the workplace around the local government pension scheme and AVCs, including shared cost AVCs as well. So about a year ago, we rebranded to My Money Matters, which is what's known as a holistic financial wellbeing platform. And we did that to appeal to the wider section of your workforce, because off a bit of the feedback that we got from partners, we found that not everybody is interested in just pensions. We know that it's not for everyone. Everybody's on different journeys of where they are in the working life and in terms of finance. So we know that not everybody's interested in pensions, but you may be interested in mortgages, savings and investments, and budgeting, and so on. So I'll go on a little bit in this presentation about what we offer in terms of that, and obviously our core offering in terms of the AVC products as well. So this is just some of the partners that we work with in the West Yorkshire Pension Fund. So you can see the main big five there in the West Yorkshire Pension Fund that are available that we work with, including the University of Huddersfield as well. And over the past 7 years, from when AVC-wise started, we have saved these partners a total of £4,853,258. So as you can imagine, it's pretty significant in terms of the savings that we've made for a lot of our partners. So financial well-being is at the heart of what we do. Okay, but just looking at that slide there, It's not a magic pill. So financial wellbeing is not a magic pill that we can just give out to people. It's a journey. And everyone is on a different journey, whatever age range they're at. So you can see from that little stat there, the 18 to 34-year-olds are on a different journey to those approaching retirement. Now more than ever, employees need access to tools and resources to help them be proactive with their money. We're growing our services and we're innovating to put ourselves into a position where we can help you provide support to your colleagues on the different areas in finance. We want to cover the whole financial spectrum, no matter what part of the journey your employees are on. But we won't lose sight of what's important of what we do and what's been our bread and butter since the days of AVC Wise, and that's the local government pension scheme and the knowledge and education around that, and indeed the unique benefit that is your AVC. So for those of you who don't know, AVC stands for Additional Voluntary Contribution, and it's a way that you can top up your existing local government pension scheme by contributing an amount each month that comes from payroll and goes to your AVC provider. Now that may be Prudential, it may be Standard Life or Scottish Widows on this call. I assume you're all in those AVC providers. That's built up alongside your main scheme, and it's a bit like a car and a caravan analogy. So the main scheme's the car and you're carrying the AVC behind, and when you come to retire, in most circumstances, you can get that back as a tax-free lump sum. So it is really lucrative in terms of that. Shared cost AVCs, so standard AVCs are available to everybody, regardless of whether your employer allows it or not. They are available to everybody as long as you're in the local government pension scheme. Shared cost AVCs, however, have to be implemented by you as an employer. So it's an employer decision to implement shared cost AVCs. So we'll now look at the key differences really in these next few slides. So the main difference between a standard AVC and a shared cost AVC is with standard AVCs, you get a tax relief on the contributions that you make. But with shared cost AVCs, you save on tax and national insurance as well. I'll go through that a little bit further in the future slides, because you can see I've got a payslip side where you can see the significant differences. They're both similar in the sense that you can get a tax-free lump sum. So that's the same in both of them. But the main difference with the shared cost AVCs is that as an employer, you make a saving on your national insurance as well. So not only do the members save on tax and national insurance, you as an employer make a saving on your national insurance as well. So you can imagine they are really lucrative. So this is an example of how it would look on a payslip slide. So we've got Joe here as the example. Looks a little bit similar to me, maybe slightly better looking, bit more purple, bit smarter. I'll let you decide that. But just for argument's sake, let's just say that Joe is on a salary of £30,000 a year, just to make it nice and simplistic. So working in this column here from top to bottom, gross monthly pay is £2,500. Joe makes the contributions to the pension scheme. As I'm sure you're all aware on this call, Joe doesn't really have any control over those contributions. He can't say to his employer straight away, can you take more out of my salary? It's done on the salary bands, as I'm sure you're all aware. So the only way that Joe can get an increase in his contributions is if he does an AVC, APC, shared cost AVC, or he gets a big salary increase. So he pays his income tax, he pays national insurance, and at the end of the month, Joe comes away in his bank with £1,963.34. So let's say that Joe wants to pay a standard AVC. He's a very smart young man, wants to save that bit more towards retirement, wants to retire early with more money, the dream we all want. So let's say he wants to pay an amount of £250. So again, working from top to bottom, gross monthly pay, £2,500. Still makes the same contribution amount to his LGPS. The AVC amount is 250. As I said earlier, with standard AVCs, Joe makes that saving on his income tax. Still pays the same in national insurance, but you can see the difference in the two figures at the very bottom there is £200. So £250 has gone in his AVC pot with Prudential or Standard Life as the AVC provider, and that's building up alongside his local government pension scheme. But the only deduction that Joe's had is 200, so he saved £50 in his tax. Okay, now that's been available for probably as long as James has worked in pensions, so you're looking about 30 years or so. But the new and up-to-date version of that is shared cost AVCs. So from 2018, shared cost AVCs were born. And there is a significant difference in the way that this is set up at payroll. So looking at this end column, I want to show you Joe's AVC contribution has gone down to £1 and his employer's AVC contribution is £249. Now, every time I jump on a call and do this payslip slide, I get a few funny looks from employers when they see employer AVC contribution. That doesn't mean that you as the employer have to put £249 in for Joe anytime he wants to make an AVC contribution each month. What you do is allow Joe to have that £249 reduced from his gross monthly pay. So if we look at the top line, gross monthly pay has gone down to 2251. So to give it its full terminology, shared cost AVCs via salary sacrifice. So if we work again from top to bottom, gross monthly pay has come down to 2251. The contributions to the local government pension scheme remain exactly the same. Now, I know other salary sacrifice schemes do affect pension. This doesn't. We work with over 350 partners. Not one of them would do this if it affected your main scheme pension. Joe's AVC contribution goes down to £1. The employer AVC contribution is £249, but we know that that's been deducted from his gross monthly pay. So the AVC amount is still £250, and that still goes to the AVC provider. So we're not the AVC provider. That is still Prudential, Standard Life, Scottish Widows. That remains the same. So that still gets paid to them at payroll. Joe makes that saving on his income tax still, but he also makes a saving in his national insurance as well. So you can see the difference in the two figures at the bottom is roughly £20. So you may all have standard AVC payers. You might be standard AVC payers yourself. With that £20, it's pretty much like a little salary increase that that person's getting just by his employer switching from standard AVCs to shared cost AVCs. So in summary, Joe's £250 contribution to a standard AVC or regular AVC would cost him £200. But with shared cost AVCs, his contribution would cost him £180.08. And that's an extra saving of £19.92 to be precise. Now, I did mention a couple of slides ago that you as the employer make a saving. So to give you those numbers on the 250, we know that the employer national insurance is due to go up to 15.5%, including the apprenticeship levy, which I'm going to mention in the next slide. But you as the employer would make a saving of £38.59 each month for a member who was to pay a £250 shared cost AVC. So the part that really interests a lot of employers in local government, you make a saving in your national insurance. So as I said, currently it's at 13.8. If you include the 0.5% for the apprenticeship levy, it's 14.3. But it's due to go up to 15% in April. So you can see why it's very compelling for a lot of councils, a lot of universities, a lot of employers in the local government pension scheme to those savings that can be made. And you can see there to date, since we started in 2018, we've saved over 46 million for employers with share cost AVCs. So I've got a case study here with Blackpool Council that we've done. I'll let you have a look at that for a few seconds. I will be sending these slides around so you can have a further look at some of this as well, but you can see there, I know that figure's gone up slightly as well since this was done, so it is closer to 500,000 now. But you can see there they've got 1,190 registered users to the platform, which is really good numbers. We've got some testimonials here as well. Again, I'll give you a couple of seconds just to have a read of that. We'll send the slides out so you can see those in a bit more detail for review. And now I'm going to touch on a few of the additional services that we've brought in since we rebranded to My Money Matters. So what we found invaluable is the education piece for your staff, so our webinars. We've only improved that with the rebrand to My Money Matters. We did it well at AVC Wise, but we've done it even better across all things finance. So staff can access webinars on a variety of the different topics in finance that I'll go on to explain a bit further in the presentation. And the good thing is the webinars and the platform is available to everybody, regardless of whether they want to take out an AVC or not. They can still come along to a webinar as long as they've got an internet connection. They can register and they can come and educate themselves about all these areas of finance. So we provide as much support to you as an employer as we possibly can with the platform training and the technical support that we offer. You get an implementation plan. So we'd agree a launch date with you and we work 6 to 8 weeks back from that. And throughout that time, you'll get training on the platform. You'll meet with the comms manager. He'll discuss the comms that you want to go out to your staff. Basically hold your hand for 6 to 8 weeks before you launch. And then there's ongoing support there with the account managers. You also get ongoing support for your members with our customer service team. They are fantastic. They're open from 8:30 till 5:30, Monday to Friday, via phone, chat and email. And they are real people as well. It's not AI or a robot. And they really are very responsive and can help answer queries themselves. They're quite knowledgeable on the pension scheme as well. As well as the webinars that I've spoke about, we do have a unique offering, which is the one-to-one sessions for staff. So staff that have got more individual questions about their own circumstances can book one-to-one sessions. You might get your higher rate taxpayers talking about lifetime allowance, annual allowance, stuff like that. People that are retiring in the next few years that really want to ask the ins and outs on pensions could bring their forms along. We're not giving financial advice, but we're giving the correct information, guidance and education for them to make an informed decision. As well as that, we do have calculators on the platform that allow staff to calculate if they was to put a certain amount into an AVC over a number of years, what that could look like and how they could benefit from that at retirement. So our effective employee communications can really bring this fantastic benefit to life for your employees. We appreciate not everyone in the workforce can access a laptop or a PC. So we are working on a mobile app and that's due to be available in the next 2 months or so, possibly May, looking like at the moment. And again, we can support you with posters, leaflets, flyers, anything you need like that. You will be designated a specific comms manager who will help you with that throughout the process. I'll now talk about a few of the other additional benefits in terms of the services that we offer as well. So we do have the AVC investment advice built into the platform, and you can choose to add this on when you partner with us. So we all know that one of the most daunting decisions to make when it comes to paying AVCs, or when it comes to paying money into anywhere that's invested, is how to invest your money, because there's no getting away from it. AVCs are based on investment. To help with the decision-making process, we've partnered with an FCA regulated company to take your members through the investment journey and help them choose the right one for them. So we know everybody is different. So this tool tailors their needs via a short questionnaire where they answer questions on risk, their attitude towards risk, their attitude towards finance, their attitudes and plans towards retirement. And at the end of the questionnaire, it would give them a score and then pre-populate the best investment funds for them individually, recommended for them to invest their AVC into. So this can obviously help the members choose the right fund, but it can also help with increased participation as well. So it's a really good tool and quite simple and easy to use for the employees throughout the platform. It takes them out of the platform for a short while, but really gives them that well-rounded experience when choosing their investment fund. We've also introduced a budgeting app with Snoop. I know this has been quite beneficial for me, being in the sort of younger bracket in the journey, because it helps with budgeting. It helps remind you how much you're spending at the weekend, but it's also really good because it can help you cut down on bills, because it can sort of recommend the best deals and really take control of your finance. This has been proven to be really sort of popular, particularly in the cost of living crisis that we're in at the moment. So that's available through the platform. It's a mobile app, but you access it through the platform, and it's free to use as well for all your employees. We've also got a partnership with the Mortgage Advice Bureau, with an extensive network of advisors, and offers personalised consultations as well, so you can get discount on your mortgage rates through this. I know this is something that I would have benefited from a couple of years ago when I moved into my house. I had to pay for a mortgage advisor, but I'm sure through this I could have got it a lot cheaper. Sort of helps with things like estate agent fees, and if you need to pay solicitors, and giving you that education, giving your staff that education on mortgages and so on. So really good section to use for your staff in that regard. And last but not least for now is the Will Guys. So we have a partnership with the Will Guys, guidance on estate planning, and a tailored will writing service where your employees can get a free basic will through our platform. So again, we provide the education on that as well through the webinars, but staff can actually go on and they can take out a free basic will through us. And for now, that is all. Any questions? I'm sure there might be a couple in the chat.
Yeah. So one question has come through. Why £1? Can it be £0 AVC contribution via salary sacrifice?
Good question. James, would you like to take that?
Sorry, yes, thank you, Joe, for that. It has to be £1 to satisfy the regulations for it to be shared cost. For a shared cost AVC, both the employer and employee must pay in. And so for the employee to pay £1 and the employee to pay the balance, that's the most efficient amount to put in for the member. So hopefully that's answered your question there.
Thank you.
Any more?
Yeah, any more questions? If you want to just pop them in the chat box, and James or Joe can take those for you. It doesn't look like we've got any more coming through. No questions. Okay, so we are bang on time, which is great. So thank you everyone for your presentations today. Hopefully you have found them useful, interesting. Hopefully we've provoked some food for thought with you. You may have thought about doing a salary sacrifice AVC for your employees in the past, but maybe put it down. Maybe you want to pick it back up now that you can see that it's not just that your employees can benefit from. Obviously, we've heard all about our digital progressions and updates. We've heard about the pension dashboard program, which is really, really important. And then we've heard about how you can tackle your leaver backlog, which is so important, and obviously something that we are consistently really trying to get rid of, because obviously once that's gone, you can just operate as business as usual using your exception reports, and it's just so much more straightforward and easy, and your data is in obviously pristine condition then. So following on from today's session, I will send out a short feedback questionnaire. We'll include the contact details for the guys at My Money Matters. If you are interested in learning a little bit more about how that works, how they can work with you, contact James or Joe direct, and they can go through anything else with you in a bit more detail, explain how things work and how you can get that implemented for your employees. I'll send you the slides, the workbooks, the manuals that Richard spoke about. We'll send you those as well. They'll be put on the website. But if you do think of any questions at all when you've left today's session, just get in touch and we'll be happy to answer them. We have recorded today's session as well, so that will be published on our website. I think that is everything. So thank you very much for joining us. It's great to see so many of you join us this morning and give up 2 hours of your precious time. So really do appreciate that. But that's it from us for now. So you are free to go back to your day, and thank you very much, like I say, for joining us.
Thank you, Ammie. Thanks
Thank you.
all.